First and foremost, I think that we're confident, especially as an offense, because in the 3 games we played, there's yet to be a team that lines up and beats us. We're beating ourselves with turnovers and penalties, and we've seen it in all 3 games. So, we're confident that we can go out and beat any defense that we go against. But we're also, pretty ticked off that, we continue to hurt ourselves.
The struggles from last year carry into this season. The Owls are 0-2 on the road, and the issues don't stop there.
Yeah, Temple drops another game on the road at Memphis, but there could be an even bigger concern that the Owls should be focused on looking ahead to this Saturday.
It's officially Tulane week, a preview of the Owls matchup with the Green Wave, and a look around the AAC. Inside the Nest starts right now. Hello everyone and welcome into another edition of Inside the Nest. Joined by Dom Gillespie and Adam Cronali, I'm Ray Dunn. Temple had Memphis on upset alert early in week 3.
Yeah, the Owls played upset last year at the Link against the Tigers, but it's obviously a different season and brand new teams on both sides of the ball in 2020.
And as always, we will break down the Owls' next opponent, the Tulane Green Wave, but we'll start this week with the previously mentioned grudge match against Memphis. The Owls went searching for their first road win, but the Tigers proved too hard to handle.
After Will Mobley missed an opening drive chip shot field goal for the Owls, Memphis marched down the field and Brady White found Taj Washington for the score. The Owls respond with 9 consecutive points, punctuated by this Jaden Blue touchdown grab. Trailing, but in the red zone again, Anthony Russo and Brandon Mack connected for the third time in 3 games to put the Owls up 15-10. That's the score going into half, and then Memphis takes off. White finds Calvin Austin on out route, and
no one will catch him. He will go all the way. Calvin Austin has been a menace for opposing defenses, as to our already impressive 2020 stat line, 184 receiving yards in this touchdown. Memphis is really starting to groove here. Brady White rolls out, finds Taj Washington for one of his 2 touchdowns on the day, as Memphis makes it a 2-possession game. But Temple, again, refusing to go away here. Russo will find his man again. Jaden Blue, that is number 2 on the day for him. Owls starting to show a little bit of life here. Temple has the ball again with a chance to take the lead, but Memphis will get bailed out. Russo throws it behind Blue. Rodney Owens with one of the easier picks you will see. Tigers get the ball back to start the 4th quarter.
As I mentioned last week, Memphis is a second half team. The Tigers are threatening again, and White finds Javon Irie for a 7-yard TD. Temple's trying to stay in it here. Jaden Blue makes 2 men miss. How about 3 touchdowns on the day for Jaden Blue? That was his 3rd. Right here, Temple needs a stop on defense on 3rd down in the red zone. And Kylan Watkins, he doesn't just pick up the first down. He's in for 6 plus the extra point, of course. 15-yard touchdown run for Watkins. And that was your final score in this one. Memphis wins it 41-29. The Owls are 0-2 on the road.
Obviously disappointed with the outcome of the game. Just too many mistakes. That's plain and simple. I mean, first half or the second half, 2 of our first 3 plays were turnovers. With the defense in a bad situation, the offense can't do that.
First and foremost, I think that we're confident, especially as an offense, because in the 3 games we played, there's yet to be a team that lines up and beats us. We're beating ourselves with turnovers and penalties, and we've seen it in all 3 games. So, we're confident that we can go out and beat any defense that we go against. But we're also, pretty ticked off that we continue to hurt ourselves.
It really sucks when you know that you're leaving out points on the field like the way you are. But at the end of the day, this is a sport. They practice just like we practice. They prep just like we prep. So, in the game, football or any game that you play, sometimes things just aren't going to go the way that you planned it.
I wanted Carey to let Russo loose, and boy did he. The graduate student had more than 60 passing attempts on the day. Not all of them good, however. 3 of his passes ended up in the wrong hands. That caused Temple to play catch-up for the majority of the game. Jaden Blue had his 2nd game in a row with multiple touchdowns. He had 3 in this one, and he also added 115 yards on top of that to try to give the offense a spark. Ray Davis continued to carry the load in the backfield with 113 yards before exiting the game in the second half with a mild leg injury.
The best quarterback named Brady in all of football didn't have his best day on Saturday. Temple's defense did enough to stifle him for most of the game to the tune of a season-low incompletion percentage, but he still managed 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards of passing offense. As for his weapons, they went along just fine. Calvin Austin looked like his speed may cause a sonic boom on his breakaway touchdown, and Rodriguez-Clark put up a respectable day on the ground.
Now on to perhaps a bigger issue for the Owls. Like many teams in Philadelphia, it's unfortunately the health. We knew prior to Memphis' game that Isaiah Graham-Mobley and Adam Klein were probably not going to suit up for the Owls, but the list widened Saturday morning prior to kickoff with David Martin Robinson adding to the list, and unfortunately for Temple, the list isn't stopping there.
Yeah, Adam, you exactly mentioned it. Rod Carey added in his weekly press conference that Russo is undergoing an MRI on his shoulder, leaving to question his status for this Saturday's game. As Adam already mentioned, IGM is out. Another linebacker finds himself on the injury report this week as well, and Audley Isaacs. The already questionable Owls defense is taking a beating 3 weeks into the season.
It's time for some more action with Safran. Inside the Nest reporter Josh Safran joins us to discuss what Temple could have done differently to potentially come out with a better outcome than the loss on Saturday.
Thanks, Adam. Without a doubt, those injuries played a factor in the loss. But even an undermanned Temple roster may have been a late-game decision or two away from flipping the script.
It was a game full of missed opportunities, both on offense and defense. Now stop me if you've heard this one before, but even after the countless miscues, Temple was driving down 1 score in the closing quarter. That is until they decided to punt the ball away twice near midfield.
4th and 10 with all 3 timeouts in 5 minutes. Felt like we had just stopped them, felt like we could do it again.
While punting the ball away on 4th and 10 isn't an abominable offense, this decision relied on keeping the Tigers off the scoreboard in 2 consecutive possessions, something Temple only achieved once in the second half. And sure enough, the punt led to a Memphis touchdown that ended any thoughts of a Temple comeback.
Looking to put the punctuation on this one.
But the Owls might not have needed this late game stop had they played a cleaner game. Temple turned the ball over 4 times, which would lead to 24 Memphis points.
I feel like the whole time we stopped ourselves. I don't think not one time that they blatantly just outright stopped us. We stopped ourselves a lot.
In the 3 games we played, there's yet to be a team that lines up and beats us. We're beating ourselves with turnovers and penalties. We're confident the way we've been playing, but we're ticked off that, as good as we have been playing, we should be 3-0 right now.
If Temple wants to take that leap and turn their record around, they'll have to shake a common theme in the past couple of seasons. A rigid offense in the red zone that too often ends drives without 6 points, outlined in Saturday's game where Temple entered the red zone 7 times, only finding the end zone on 3 of those trips.
Yes, we're scoring, and it's good, but we obviously need to score more. Do I feel good about the points? Yes. Am I satisfied? Absolutely not.
Currently, Temple's red zone efficiency ranks 79th out of 99 active collegiate football teams. And if the Owls don't see that number dip anytime soon, I'd expect some wrinkles in the game plan when the offense gets past the 20. With Inside the Nest, I'm Josh Safran. Ray, back to you.
Thanks, Josh. As the department and the team continue to look ahead to the rest of the season, so will we. But first, we have to take a quick break.
When we come back, we will have a full breakdown of Tulane, and of course, hear from Rod Carey. You do not want to miss it.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Welcome back to Inside the Nest. Even before this season started, all eyes were on the passing game. After 3 weeks, that is where they have stayed. But it begs the question, are the Owls trying to do too much through the air? For me, Temple playing from behind for most of the season has a lot to do with why they have been forced to pass the ball so much. I do not see it as a problem if the Owls can take care of the ball, but as we know, that has been a big if all season.
passing the ball, in my opinion, is actually fine, Dom, when you consider the group that they have. They have 3 single-digit wide receivers out there, Jaden Blue, Brandon Mack, and Randall Jones, as we know. But one thing I kind of want to focus on is the fans watching the games or seeing the box scores probably in particular. They see Russo, 1 pick week 1, 2 in week 2, 3 in week 3. But you could argue, Rod Carey's mentioned the refs blowing a pass interference call, the rain with Brandon Mack slipping last week. Jaden Blue has 5 touchdowns, but you could argue that 2 of Russo's picks were Blue's fault, and Blue backed that up in the postgame, saying he should have finished one of his routes and he should have held on to a ball that went off of his shoulder that we saw in the highlights. So my kind of concern is pass the ball, but execution not only by Russo, but these wide receivers that show great stats in the red zone with these touchdowns, but are they really, playing such a great game that their losses are hurting the team too, and in some ways it's costing the Owls points?
Yeah, getting to the point of execution, I think the passing game is a net positive. I'm way more concerned about situational football. If you ask me about passing the ball in the red zone, then I'm going to be concerned. They're second worst in scoring percentage in the red zone in the conference and second worst in touchdown percentage in the red zone in the conference. Russo's completion percentage goes from 68% overall to 50% in the red zone. It's a stark drop. The offense just has not been that good in the red zone, and the passing game is no exception. I mean, you can't put all of the blame, obviously, on Russo or the receivers, as the entire offense as a whole hasn't contributed. Ray Davis in carries inside the 20-yard line is only averaging 2.1 yards per carry. So I think it's a huge concern in my eyes, more what they're doing when they get in close. And I think I keep bringing this up week after week. The concern with the offense isn't so much moving down the field. It's about capitalizing on the opportunities when they get them.
Yeah, it's definitely about the little things and the executions that's leading to some of these turnovers and missed opportunities in the red zone. But on a different note, Will Mobley is getting the boot after just 3 games in 2020. The redshirt junior has only missed 2 field goal attempts this year, and one of them, if we remember, was blocked in the home game against USF. But this week, Rod Carey announced he's making a change.
Yeah, for the past 3 years, Will Mobley has been the go-to guy, but his career long is only 44 yards. Carey sees better pastures ahead with the true freshman Rory Bell. Bell is already taking over the kickoff duties, but now he'll be responsible for putting some points on the board for the sluggish special teams unit.
On Monday, head coach Rod Carey addressed the media, and a lot of what he had to talk about had to do with injuries and how this team is addressing moving forward after the loss to Memphis. And on Tuesday, some of the players got to talk to the media and talk about what they see in the future of this team. Let's take a listen.
When you throw the ball 60 times in a game and give up, 3 or 4, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, I don't think that's awful. I think that's probably in the good category. Certainly would like the run game to be more effective than it was, even though we had Ramon go over 100 yards. We would have liked to see more balance there. And you're running 95 plays in a game and you're playing catch up, kind of situation dictates it. But I think the offensive line, for the most part, is still playing at a high level. And I'd like to see the run game get a little more consistent.
Just on Saturday, just having that feeling, like you said, to know that like we finally get to play, like all this testing wasn't for nothing. Like the season, even the first game when it finally came, the season's here. I mean, every time I'm looking for the end of the week because it's like I get to play, I get to go against somebody else. I don't have to see B-Mac or Randall every day in practice.
So Ramon is fine. Russo is going and doing an MRI later this afternoon. It's actually his shoulder they got banged up. He's tough. He didn't want to tell me a thing during the game. And his shoulder got banged up a little bit, his throwing shoulder. So we'll have more information on him later this afternoon or first thing in the morning with him. And DMR was out because of contact tracing, COVID protocols. So we got that word Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, somewhere in that time frame. Nothing we can really do about that. So he will be down for a couple weeks here, and hopefully he doesn't get it, and we get him back as soon as we can.
I found out about DMR, I think, on Thursday night or something like that. And then, so I was like, I was already prepared to play, but mentally I had to prepare myself even more because I knew I was going to be playing more. And then when Pittman went out, I was like, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing. I was playing well. and I just kept it up. Nothing really changes,
Tulane's a good football team. Even though they're 0-4 in conference, you look at who they played and what the games have been. Certainly felt like they had every opportunity against SMU. When they had a big-time lead at Houston and then fell a little short there, and UCF maybe got away from them a touch. And in Navy they were up 24-0 on the half. So this is a good senior-led football team. The quarterback's not, but a lot of other seniors around there. We know this personnel well, so this is going to be a tough game.
Well, through 3 weeks, Temple already finds itself in some tough sledding going forward. At 1-2, the Owls are a game and a half out of first place, which sounds a lot better than it looks on your screen right now. The dominant Cincinnati Bearcats squad leads the charge along with resurgent Houston and Tulsa squads in the American.
Based on the preseason poll, Temple is right where they should be. The Owls are currently 8th in the conference, but the surprise is probably seeing Tulane ranked below Temple right now in the standings based on their overall record. Tulane was originally picked to finish 6th, but as you can see, the Green Wave is currently sitting at number 10.
Yeah, like you said, the Green Wave were expected by many to take that next step as a program this year under Willie Fritz, a 7-6 record a season ago. They have back-to-back bowl wins, including the Armed Forces Bowl win last season. And now this is a roster that's really been constructed in the image that Fritz wants. Like you said, expected to finish 6th in the American, but the results on paper have not been there. October has certainly been a bit of a spooky season for this squad. They've lost all 3 games in October, all of them conference games. The first was a blowout loss to Houston, a heartbreaker then against SMU, and finally another blowout loss to UCF. Their hopes of doing anything in conference have been totally dashed. They are in the graveyard at this point, but obviously still a huge game against Temple this weekend for them.
Yeah, as we all know, no easy wins will come this season for the Owls, so if they want to get a W, they will need to stop these guys. Starting off with the freshman quarterback, Michael Pratt. Through 4 games, Pratt has 7 passing touchdowns. He has not started every game, but he seems to be Tulane's man going forward. Through his 2020 campaign, might I add, he only has 2 interceptions. On the outside, your eyes go to Jaquan Jackson. The sophomore wideout seems to find the end zone with ease, and will certainly be one to watch with the Owls' recent secondary struggles.
Cameron Carroll is definitely one to watch in the red zone specifically. The 225-pound monster back already has found the end zone 8 times this year. Already 8 times. Talk about a guy who's winning the battle for most TD treats in 2020 for Tulane once they reach that end zone.
You've seen our Inside the Nest reporters Josh Saffron and Sage Hurley delivering the news about Temple football each week. But now they're going to do my favorite thing. Take a deep dive into some stats. Josh and Sage, take it away.
Thanks, Ray. The first stat that I want to look at, and that's been catching my eye, not for just this season, but for the past couple of seasons, has been Temple's red zone efficiency. Now, the Owls, they're just 15 for 20 this season in the red zone, which is, as I said earlier, that's 79th in the entire country. And even worse is they've got 11 touchdowns in those 20 red zone trips. So even when they're scoring, they're still leaving 3, and with the extra point, 4 points off the board. Sage, what is your stat here?
I'm going to have to talk about turnovers. The team's turnover stat has increased per game, most recently having 4 against Memphis, and Russo has thrown for 6 interceptions on this season, and even though you can't blame them all on him, we saw on Saturday how much a turnover can really impact the momentum of a game. That interception and fumble in the third quarter caused some big runs for Memphis and put Temple in a hole they just couldn't get out of.
Yeah, Sage, you're exactly right, and even on that game on Saturday, Temple had 3 turnovers of their own, which they were only able to get 3 points off of. One of those, they got the ball at the 10-yard line, and they weren't even able to punch it in, further backing up the red zone point. Now, you mentioned Russo's turnovers. My biggest thing is Russo, when he gets close to the goal line, he looks like he's just rushing every play. He doesn't look comfortable. Now with this MRI news, I'm starting to wonder if we're going to see a change-up near the goal line. I'm thinking maybe put in the mobile, smaller quarterback, Riel Mitchell, give him a chance, see if he can punch a few in. I mean, we've seen Russo try to run the ball a little bit. I'd rather just have the guy who can run better near the goal line.
I totally agree with that, Josh, but I think that Anthony Russo really has to improve that turnover stat no matter what, and I think that stat has to improve because it has to. Coach Carey said it's really hard to win a football game on the road against a good team when you're turning over the ball 4 times, and the schedule moving forward is not a walk in the park by any means, so I think that will hopefully light a fire under the offense and get them focusing on the details finally.
Thank you so much, Josh and Sage. We are up against our second break of the day. On the other side, we check in on one owl in the NFL, and of course, no huddle. Inside the Nest, we'll be right back.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Welcome back to Inside the Nest. Some shocking news coming out of the Jacksonville Jaguars over the weekend. The Jaguars announced that former star Temple running back Raquel Armstead has been hospitalized twice due to complications with him contracting coronavirus. Armstead is expected to miss the rest of the season out of caution for his overall health. Raquel was expected to take on a heavy role in Jacksonville's offense this year after they cut former top 10 pick Leonard Fournette. I know all of us here at Inside the Nest had a lot of fun watching him break some records at the Link, and we all wish him a full and speedy recovery.
Yes, obviously wishing the best for Raquel Armstead. And back on Temple's front now, on Monday, Temple's athletic department announced the opportunity for students to request free tickets to the football team's remaining 3 home games this season, starting next Thursday against SMU. Tickets will be awarded on a lottery process in which seats are assigned in groups of 2, 4, and 6 people, with only one member of the group needing to make a request. Tickets will be awarded 4 days prior to the games, and for more information, visit owlsports.com or contact ticksales@temple.edu.
That's right, it's time for another edition of No Huddle. Now, Temple, as we know, is coming off a loss, so I'm interested to see where Dom's heading with these questions this week.
After my performance on last week's No Huddle, Inside the Nest fan and our chief photographer, Jake Jesberger's dad, awarded me the #1 spot in his on-air power rankings. Let's see if my takes can live up to the billing. Dom, the floor is yours.
I've actually found myself at the bottom of those power rankings the past couple of weeks, so I don't think I'm going to gain any ground since I'm asking questions, but come on, Mr. Jesberger. All right, we're going to start off here. Adam, we're going to start with you on this question. Who would you like to see the most improvement of going into this Tulane game? You know, it can be a coach, it can be a player, but who do you think needs to show up more this Saturday to get a win?
This Saturday, I'm going to say a guy that I really haven't seen a lot from that I expected was Christian Braswell. He got burned on that one play that was in the highlights, the big long run from Temple's wideout. I think that, you know, he's found a lot of interceptions in his career at Temple. Haven't really seen it so far, so I'm going to say Christian Braswell.
I'm going with Ifeani Maje and Daniel Archibong. Up the middle, that's 2 single digits that you expect a lot of production out of so far. You haven't quite seen it come through. I think they have to play a much bigger role in this defense, getting pressure, slowing down the run to help out an inexperienced squad. They need to step up. They need to play their best games if Temple wants to have success this week.
And obviously on the offensive side of the ball, we've all been critical of Russo. He's got to take a little bit of care of the football. The Owls hope to get a win. All right, so going into this Tulane game this weekend, would you consider this specific game a must-win for the Owls' overall success this season? Ray, we're going to start with you.
Must win, can't lose. No, but in all seriousness, I said that the Owls coming out of October really should have 3 wins to their name given the difficulty of their schedule in November. That's not going to happen. We're not at that point. You have to adjust to the reality you're in. They need to win this game against Tulane. This is an absolute must-win. This Tulane team, 0-4 in conference. They've looked sloppy. They've looked very bad so far. They need to go out there and establish themselves, win a game here, get to 500 before you get that back-to-back real rough stretch against SMU and UCF.
Yeah, for me, like Ray said, it's a must-win, especially because of the schedule Temple has right after this. But when you look at some of the injuries that we've talked about and the concerns, in addition to, you know, how Temple has played so far, I definitely have concerns for this game. But for if it's backups playing, you know, especially that tight end, you're now down to like third string essentially in some ways, potentially. It's a must-win game. It's a must-win game regardless to try and stay in the hunt. This is a winnable game, but I think it's going to be tough because there's a lot of question marks this week in practice.
I agree with both of you guys. You know, injuries are going to play a big role this weekend, but it is a must-win. And now it is a must-win. Now whether you guys think they're going to win is another question. Can I get your game predictions, Adam? We're going to start with you.
All right, so since you kindly asked for my number one peeve, just kidding. I think this was a bubble game when we did the preseason predictions. I really think Temple, they'll come away with a win. I'll go with it right now. It'll be close. It'll be one possession. I'm hoping that watching our Temple will find a way to score more often, more efficient in the red zone, like we've talked about a lot. But I'm not going to be surprised if it's the other way either. This is a tough game.
Change my last name to Simpson because I'm going to be a homer here. I'm taking Temple to win 34-27 over Tulane. I have them winning by a touchdown. I think this is a game you need to win. I think at the point they are this season, they've shown flashes of being a good team. This is a game where even mediocre teams are able to beat up on a team that's just really churning through the mud. Give me the Owls in this one by a touchdown, and then they really have to get ready for a short week and a tall task.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic of the Owls this week. They played Memphis a bit tighter than I was honestly expecting. It was only a 2-possession game. I was expecting Memphis to come out and kind of roll over on them. So the fact that Temple could play Memphis pretty close with having all those turnovers, confident in a win against Tulane this week. All right, guys, last question. It's a fun one. It's Halloween weekend. Ray, we're going to start with you. What are you dressing up as this weekend?
Oh, this weekend, how about I just, give you a quick... I will be going as a frontline worker. Thank you to everyone in our hospitals, all of the doctors, nurses out there that have helped deal with this pandemic. This year, it has been a difficult year for all of you, so my Halloween will be a tribute to all of you.
Yeah, Ray, absolutely. The first line workers have been nothing short of extraordinary in this time, so definitely great tribute by you. For me, there was a return during the pandemic to one of my favorite snacks growing up. Got a lot of gear, so why not put it on? That's right, Dunkaroos made a return, and let me tell you something. If you've never had them, go to your stores right now and get it. They are some quality cookies, icing, lock it down. John, what you got?
Both great choices with you guys, but we all know we are all sports fans here, so I decided to go with an old classic. I went with an old classic, Squints from The Sandlot. Sandlot, as we all know, not even one of the best sports movies of all time, just one of the greatest movies of all time. Just a real old classic. And I know you guys can't see my lower half right now, but I'm definitely wearing cuff jeans and Chucks to go with this one. You guys did great. I love it. I love all of it. But that will do it for this edition of No Huddle. And for that matter, it will do it for this edition of Inside the Nest. But fret not, Owl Sports fans. We got you covered for the rest of the week. Jackson Neal and Brooklyn Vaughn will bring you the latest this Friday. You can find that show on our YouTube channel at Owl Sports Update.
You guys can get spooky and eat all your trick-or-treat candy. But first, Temple football, 12 o'clock noon on ESPN+. Be sure to check out our website at Owl Sports Update for another game story written by myself, following all the action in case you miss the action or you don't have an ESPN+ account.
For Adam Cronali and Dom Gillespie, I'm Ray Dunn. This has been Inside the Nest. Thank you for watching. Have a happy Halloween. We'll be back same time, same place next week.